Lucy and I met on our first day of university. We were excited, nervous, and frankly, a little bit lost. But second year came around and Luce was still by my side, but we recognised we had a serious problem as well. When we confronted, we recognised we had a serious problem. We sensed a lack of solidarity on campus, and we felt completely isolated. And we didn't know where to turn. 40% of Year 12 students experience anxiety that should be at levels of clinical concern. And first year dropout rates are the highest they've ever been, at 15%. This problem is not our own. Our friends, our siblings, our peers, your sons and daughters, and also your friends are all experiencing a similar issue. When we are confronted with overwhelming independence, much like Lucy and I in this photo, we resort to feelings of anxiety, stress, and helplessness. And as university students, a complete lack of connectivity only isolates this problem. So we began doing some of our own research. We found in our sample of Year 12 students that 60% of students were anxious about attending university. We also found that 40% thought that their university experience would be exactly the same as their high school experience.
Good evening, my name is Lucy Hamblin and this is Rose Hartley, and we are the co-founders of a social enterprise known as ProjectHUNI. We aim to make the transition from high school to university fun and engaging as opposed to stressful and daunting. ProjectHUNI believes in lived experience. We deliver a 30-minute talk to students in their final year of school. The interactive and conversational nature of this talk aims to debunk stereotypes, normalise emotion, and enhance independence. But ProjectHUNI doesn't just love you and leave you. Included in the price of the talk is access to a bi-monthly newsletter. Delivered via email, these newsletters target the entire life cycle of the student. Our first newsletter is due for release in August. In May, we conducted our first pilot talk at Monte St Angelo. We found that as students ourselves, we were intimately able to engage with our Year 12 audience. Our story not only reassured the students, but it made them realise that guidance and a plan comes out of nothing more than talking to others who have walked in their footsteps. As you can see, the feedback was highly supportive. As a result of the talk, students were relieved and now growing in confidence about their transition. Within 48 hours of this talk, we were contacted by 6 other schools in Sydney asking us to visit. Based on our current traction, we have the potential to reach 83,250 students per year in Sydney alone.
After our talk, over 75% of students felt more confident than they did before the talk about their transition to university. But nearly 25% remained unsure. Why is this 25% still unsure? We recognise that the student population is far from homogenous. We all embark on a unique journey, have unique experiences, and need unique solutions to our problems. Since our pilot talk at Monte, we've been contacted nearly every day by a student asking to take us to coffee in exchange for a chat. To this date, we've met with around 50 students. But we are only 2 people and we can only help a certain number of people. This is where our Genesis journey has led us to overcome this limitation. We now recognise it has overcome this limitation. This has led to our third and final intervention, the ideation of our SOS application. Seek Out Students, or SOS, is an application connecting students of similar interests. The younger student asks to buy the older student a coffee in exchange for advice. Anything from, I'm lost and I don't know what subjects to pick, to, I'm literally lost, can you take me to the RC Mills building? I have no idea where it is. But what's in it for the older student? Well, the older student at any point can print out a certification that says they've completed X amount of mentoring sessions with a Y rating. This will typically accompany resumes. And don't forget to mention they get a free coffee.
So our talks and newsletters don't simply benefit the students. Doubling as a marketing campaign, the talks and newsletters help the project by making Honey a household name. They are the tools through which we are building our community, and therefore are the tools through which we are recruiting users for our app. Driven by customer preference, the talk and newsletter package is delivered to schools at a flat rate of $200. We project that this price will increase as we establish a presence within the market and refine the program. As you can see from the graph, it is the app that will boost revenue. So we have built a community of over 1,000 students to date, and we are retaining their engagement via a newsletter.
But we need your help to build their platform. Thank you.
It's fantastic to hear this problem being approached in a different way. And I can see there's going to be a lot of people who are going to benefit from this, because that transition is something that a lot of parents are concerned about as well when their young ones are going between those two organisations. It strikes me as you're helping students in the university and treating that as one crowd and the students that are in schools as another crowd. Have you thought about using the volunteers from the universities to actually run everything in the schools as well, and that bridge the gap in that way, so you, in a sense, you have a group of people you already know when you arrive at university?
Yeah, it's essentially also, like you said, bringing, making those university things first, because a lot of people that we've spoken to don't actually know that those orientation programs exist. They didn't know that they could have someone that they could take around campus and show them where to go. So yeah.
So we're working on, we need to be able to, we've spoken to some of the universities and they would like us to prove to them that we can facilitate this transition and that what we're doing is benefiting their students. So once we can sort of show them that and the app's up and running, we would love, the plan is to have them all involved. Yeah.
Great logo, and it will stick because it really makes sense, that transition from high school to uni. My question's gone. When the app is developed, and I'm sure there's a lot of IT people within the uni who probably will help you with that as well. How is it something that you see as you said revenue will go up? How are you going to actually charge for the service?
So the app, because we don't want to isolate, and we want this to be an accessible solution. So the app will be free for students to download. We will be generating small revenue through advertising. So as we said, students are connecting in coffee shops on campus. So coffee shops will be advertising or student-based services on the app, and that's where money will be made. But we do recognise that as a social enterprise, we are trying to solve a problem. So profit is not our main drive, but we do recognise that we need a certain amount of revenue coming in to keep it going. Yeah.
Said 15% of first-year students drop out of university. Where does that stat come from?
Is that the statistic? Yeah. We've got we've gone through a whole load of reports, and that was from 2015. Yeah. Yeah.
And did that break down why? Did you segment that 15% by why they dropped out? Sort of money pressure?
No, that particular study didn't actually break down why, they didn't survey why these kids dropped out. But from what we gathered from other data, it is due to this anxiety, this confrontation with independence and not knowing how to utilise it at university.
And do you have any idea about which university in Australia has the biggest problem with dropout?
It's the big universities, so it's the smaller universities have a really high retention rate, but the bigger universities actually have a high dropout rate.
One of the things I was looking for you to talk about that maybe you could sort of think about after this is, if you solve this problem of students dropping out of university, you're actually creating a lot of value for the universities. I'm not sure, depending on whether it's a domestic or international student, what a university dropout costs them in terms of lost revenue. So that's something you might want to build into your value proposition. University, if you can stop students dropping out of university, that's something universities would pay for.
Thank you.
Thank you.